99.9 KTBY, the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. James Blunt. Doc Sin, Dr. Kevin with the Bryant Wellness Institutes, and for Wellness Wednesday. And Doc, you've picked the perfect day to come because it's National Gumbo Day, and gumbo's coming.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, you won't eat any, but it's coming.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if it gets here and you're here, I'm going to eat it in front
That's
of you.
fine. No problem.
You're just going to have to watch that.
Yeah,
Hey.
CJ's going to want to cut the show short.
Right, right.
Them coming along.
Yeah.
Just a warning.
When Chris is coming, because I was begging, because I love the gumbo at Chris's. I love the gumbo at Ema's. And I love the gumbo at Charlie. It's all a bit different at Charlie G's. Social. Charlie got all that going. But so we started calling them out early this morning, and Chris is bit.
Yeah.
Yes. So Garrett's coming.
Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett. He's coming at 8:30. You might be here when he gets here.
Good.
Okay. So what's going on?
Well, I have a story today of someone that just doesn't feel well, but doesn't know why. They used to be so full of energy, but now they can just barely make it through the day. Fatigued.
Are you putting my business on the street?
So maybe they get headaches with no known cause. Maybe they have fatigue every day, or maybe they catch every little cold or flu that comes around. Maybe their sinuses are constantly a problem, or their allergies go crazy for no reason, or they just can't figure it out. Now, maybe they've been to many doctors without a really good answer and diagnosed with several different things, and none of them really made good sense. And one doctor even said it was depression or in their head. And they know that them not feeling well is not in their head, but that's unfortunately what they were told. Now, this is a very common story of someone that may have a sensitivity and lives in a water-damaged building, or works in a water-damaged building, or maybe goes to school in a water-damaged building and has a mold sensitivity. And this is something that I've been seeing more and more over the last several years, but since the flood that we had, I've been noticing it very, very often. So I wanted to call everybody's attention to it today and talk to about how that works and why that is. But this is something that everybody needs to know about. Now, by the way, even if the mold inspector cleared your house, you still may have this affecting your body, and you may have had this even affecting your body before the flood, because I saw it many, many times from people in South Louisiana before the flood, but now I'm starting to see it more and more. But with all the water intrusion in people's houses and businesses, many times they'll be working or living in a water damaged building, which is a real thing, and they don't understand that it's negatively affecting their health, and it's making them feel terrible, and no doctors can figure out why. It doesn't have to be a dramatic case like what I described. It could just simply be a child with headaches or allergies. It could be an adult with sinus problems and they don't know why, or allergies, or just chronic fatigue or headaches, and they just can't figure out why this is happening.
Hypothetical situation. So a person works in a building like that and goes home where there's no water damage, no mold, and still feels bad. Could it be the remnants of being in it all day?
It could, absolutely.
Okay.
That is what happens, yeah. And so they might notice at work it's worse, or maybe on vacation. When I went on vacation, I felt better.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got back, I started feeling bad again. I hear that a lot too, and those are all little indications that person may have some sort of a biotoxin in a building or in their house that they live in. And so what happens, we get molds, fungi, yeast, bacteria, and viruses. They produce something in our bodies called biotoxins. Biotoxins are really bad for us, and what it is it's a buildup of small particles in our bodies of broken down germs, mold spores, and harmful invaders. And it's a really complicated and confusing set of symptoms, but it's caused by exposure to the interior environment of a water-damaged building. And what happens, there's a complex mixture of contaminants present in the air or in the dust of water-damaged buildings, and it forms this kind of toxic blend of chemicals, biotoxins, and particulates and biofilms. And this is really hard to figure out. It's really hard to put your finger on this because the variety of toxic compounds is nearly impossible to pin down to one particular thing. And this sort of toxic stew can wreak havoc on the body in so many various ways. So one person might develop sinus problems, the next person might develop headaches, but it's the same thing causing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really it's really hard for doctors to pin this down.
I want to ask you something, if I might.
Sure.
I tell the guys over at KPEL, because Bernie's always sick, and I tell the guys over at KPEL, when I walk into KPEL, our sister station, News Talk, it rained in there one day. It actually had a leak, and it was ongoing for a long time. And when you go into that KPEL studio, I'm looking at it right now through the window. When you go in that studio, you smell it. I smell it.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
They don't smell it. They don't smell it. I told the program director there, I said, you have a mold problem in this control room. Can't you smell it? Nobody smells it. So my question to you is, okay, if it is a problem, can you always smell it?
No, you can't. No, and especially if you're there all the time, because you get used to it, and your body just doesn't even recognize that.
So somebody that tells you, "Oh, we don't have no mold. I don't smell that."
Right.
That's not necessarily true.
Not at all. And it could be where you can't recognize it with your nose at all. And so it could be even, especially if you have a hypersensitivity to it, it could be so little in there that the average person doesn't even notice it. But because your body is so hypersensitive to that one particular spore, that it can cause you to go into this really sick reaction to it. And so on today's show, we're going to discuss water-damaged buildings, ways to know if your building is making you sick, and the coolest part is we have a simple new test now that we can perform that's non-invasive. It's done through the eyes, and we can tell you if your building has biotoxins or you're getting biotoxic buildup in your body. So now since mold and floodwater illness is such a problem, we've teamed up with Lourdes Hospital, and we're going to do, on Saturday in my office, we're going to do a big blood drive, and we're also going to be doing mold exposure and biotoxic illnesses checks at our office on Saturday from 10 to 2. And so it's going to be like a big party. We're going to have a fun jump for the kids. I'm trying to get a food truck to come out there. We're going to be doing free screenings for adults and kids with allergies, sinus problems, headaches, chronic fatigue, and things like that to see if it might be from this biotoxic pathway in the body. So I wanted to invite everybody to come to our office right there in Broussard, and you can meet me and the staff, and you can donate blood if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want. We're going to be giving away an iPad. We're going to be giving away stress massages every hour. And so it's going to be a fun little time. So I wanted to invite everybody to come out to the office this Saturday from 10 to 1. And we're going to be doing these screenings. But when we get back from break, I'm going to explain how the screening works and what it is and what this biotoxic pathway can actually do to your body and why this is such a chronic thing these days. But if you don't feel your best and you can't figure out why, or you're robbed of energy, or you're sinusy all the time, this very well might be the issue. And if it is, we have a really neat new test where
we have to quit.
Go to the beach, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so we have this really cool new test where we can tell through your eyes if you have this biotoxic buildup in your body. So we'll discuss all of that after the break.
Yay. Okay, and now radio.
Now we're back.
You thought that?
That's for you.
Yes.
You were feeling special. No, boy. That's because we can. Now radio pups back and streaming computer that put everybody back together. Okay.
We want everybody to hear you.
Humpty Dumpty. All right. So Doc's in Wellness Wednesday. Okay, and we're talking about you tell them what you're talking about.
So
it's kind of complex, really.
It really is, but we're discussing that people can have a hypersensitivity to mold, spores, viruses, and things like that from a flooded building or from a humid building, and they don't realize how it's making their health, making them feel bad, and they can get all kinds of different checkups and all that, and it's a really hard thing to pin down.
But you were saying off the air just a minute ago, it doesn't have to be a flooded building,
right?
A building that was flooded.
Because our humidity.
Just simply, this area is so humid. I'm sorry. I'm being distracted. The gumbo just got here. I can see it in the lobby.
Hey, Garrett.
I apologize. Hey, Garrett. Okay, so, but just because it's so humid,
right?
A building that's never been flooded can still have all contain all this mold and stuff you're talking about.
Absolutely. It sure can.
Just because of the area we live in.
It's true.
Well, Doc, what do you do?
Well, the thing about this is, and people don't realize that it can take months to figure this out because the presentation of symptoms is so confusing. It can be all over the map. So doctors have a really hard time with this, but you can get volatile organic chemicals, fungi, molds, mycobacteria, and many other spores that you can't see with the naked eye. And so these things can affect your body in a really unusual way. Like they can even affect concentration and behavior in kids. I have one study that I have a video on my computer that I'll tell you what, I'll post this later today on our Facebook page. And what they did was they took a little boy who, when he would get to school, his behavior was just terrible. Mm-hmm. And at home, he was fine. And they could not figure out what it was. And so they actually found that he was allergic to something in his school air. And so what they did was they put him in a clinical setting, and they went to the school and they took an extract of the air, and they inoculated him with that, and his behavior immediately changed. He couldn't concentrate. He started jumping on the furniture. He started speaking out of turn. He started fussing at his mom. And come to find out, he had some sort of an unrecognized allergy or some sort of a sensitivity to something that was in the air, some sort of a spore or some sort of a mold spore that was in his school air.
I bet some doctors would have just thrown him some Adderall and just get back to school.
Exactly right. And when the mom found this out, the mom, and
Bravo to the parents.
I'll post this video later. The mom was literally in tears because she's been punishing him for not doing good in school. And come to find out the whole time he was allergic to some sort of a mold spore that was in the school air. And it was affecting his concentration, it was affecting his brain chemistry. And so I'll post that video later. It is something else to see. But these molds and biotoxin can really do weird things to your body. And so...
Doc, do you always... I know I'm full of questions, but do you always breathe them in, or can it be simply by touch?
Generally, you're going to breathe them in.
Okay.
Generally, you do. That's the most common way. And so if you're having unusual symptoms that just doesn't seem right to you, and they've been going on for a while, you really should come get this new screening Saturday to see if you may be exposed to something. But, if your child suffers with allergies or ear infections or sinus problems, they really should get looked at. And this new test that we have is so neat. The way that it works, we can determine if you have a biotoxic buildup in your body through your eyes. Now, the way that biotoxins build up in your body, since the blood vessels in your eyes are very close to the surface, when biotoxins build up in your body, you have a real difficulty seeing contrast. And so we have an eye exam to where it's a card that you read that has lines that are decreasing contrast from one row to the next. Mm-hmm. And if you lose your ability to see contrast on this card so that you can't read contrast very well, that's an indication that you may have some sort of a biotoxic buildup. It doesn't tell us what the biotoxin is, it just tells us that you have one. And so we can do further testing to figure out exactly, is it a mold, is it a mycobacteria, what it is. But that at least is just a real general test for us to be able to tell if you may have some sort of a biotoxic buildup in your body. And then we can further evaluate you to see what it is and how to get rid of it.
You may not know the answer to this. I realize this is not your area of expertise, but do you know if there are agencies that will go in and test the air quality of a building?
There are.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Lafayette?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
There's a lot of them, actually. And so I have patients that have been to specialist after specialist with no real answers to why they feel crappy. I mean, they just can't figure it out. And the first thing that I suspect with these patients is that they have a biotoxic buildup somewhere that has not been recognized. Sometimes people will have a mild cough for months and months and months. Maybe they'll just have sinus problems that they blame on something like living in Louisiana or something. And I have patients that spent $20,000 or $30,000 worth of testing and still no good answer as to why they have no energy or why they have headaches or why, maybe they'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars and just get some runaround diagnosis, like a chronic fatigue syndrome or, one of those. And not that chronic fatigue syndrome is not a real thing, it's just that doesn't answer the question. One of the biggest bones that I have to pick with the American healthcare system is they feel like that if they answer the symptom and they label it as something, they've done their job. You know, I have patients all the time. They'll go to this specialist in Houston and spend 3 days with this specialist clinic, and they'll come back and, you know, they figured out what I have. I have temporal headaches. Well, you had headaches in your temporal area. I could have told you that over the phone. You know, that doesn't explain to the why. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, my doctors, I went to this specialist in Houston and about why I'm tired all the time, and they found out what I have. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. You know, that you do that before you went.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't answer the why. Well, did he find out why? Well, no, they didn't mention that. You know, so that's not an answer. One of the reasons why our healthcare system is not very effective is because it doesn't answer the question of why we have it.
Root of the problem.
The root of the problem, exactly right. Sometimes people are even relieved to get these wastebasket diagnoses because they just want an answer. They just want to know what they have. But that doesn't answer what they really have. That just answers their list of symptoms that they have. You know, itis means that something's inflamed. If you have inflamed sinuses and you go in and the doctor says you have sinusitis, that doesn't answer anything.
Yeah, didn't you? That's why you went to the doctor.
Yeah, that's why you went. If your tonsils are inflamed and they tell you have tonsillitis, that you knew that already.
Yeah.
You know, that's not an answer.
Yeah.
And so the big question is, how do we find out what is the underlying root of the problem? So I want to invite everybody to come Saturday 10 to 2. We're having a big party at the Broussard office. We're going to have a fun jump for the kids. We're going to be doing this screening. Now, like CJ was saying, even if your house didn't flood, if you or your children or somebody in your family is not feeling well or they're having these ongoing problems, they might have something. It might be in the school. It might be in your work. You just don't know. But they should be checked for this biotoxic pathway. So you can come meet me and the staff, see the office, and you know, you can donate blood if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. We're going to be giving away an iPad. We're going to give away massages every hour. So it's going to be a fun little time. It's going to be Saturday 10 to 2 at my office in Broussard. That's on the corner of 90 and Morgan Street in Broussard.
Forgive me if you said this, but is the screening free? Is it?
It is.
It's free.
Yeah.
Oh.
The whole thing's free.
The whole thing's free.
Yeah. We're going to have food there. We're going to have a fun little time. Yeah, and we'll have a fun jump for the kids. And so we can show you some of this new technology that we have on our functional medicine program. We're just going to it's going to be like a big party at the office Saturday.
So before or after festival, you mean just run out there real
Absolutely.
quick. You're hop, skip, and a jump. You're right there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's going to be Saturday 10 to 1. So I want to invite everybody to come.
So everybody should load up the car, the whole family.
Absolutely. And
I mean, you do it for free. You'll do the whole family, right?
Right. And we'll check everybody while they're there. Lords is going to be there, and you can donate blood while you're there if you want. They really need some help in that area. You know, things are tough this time of year for them, and with all the environmental stuff we've had going on, it's a great time to donate blood. And so I want to invite everybody to come out.
And it's healthy to donate blood.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, years ago there was some stigma. Oh, I'm not doing that. It's not good for me. It is good for you. It is good for you.
Right, and I'm going to donate too.
Will you? That's great. Fantastic.
I'm going to be the first one.
So do people need to call and register?
No.
Just show up.
Show up 10 to 2. Yeah, 10 to 1. 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Yeah.
And you're at, I know where you are, but you're at, on Highway 90.
Uh-huh. And Morgan Street.
And Morgan.
Right. So you
right
go
by the McDonald's.
Right. So you go past the airport, you're going to hit Morgan Street. We're right there by the McDonald's on the left.
Take a left, and you take a left off Highway 90, and you go literally straight into your parking lot.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you take a little bit, you swerve a little bit right, you go get you a McDonald's burger.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Doc. Man, that's a good show today. That's fantastic.
Good.
And you're doing stuff for the community. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Bryant Wellness Institutes. And please remember to post that video on your Facebook page.
I will post it. And our Facebook's the Bryant Wellness Institutes.
Okay.
Yep, so
Wellness Wednesday. Dr. Kevin. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, guys.
KTDY.